Every Pakistani, they may swear loyalty, and now the European passes a resolution saying that Pakistan has sent its special forces and its to help. For the record is that Pakistan's thinking is very largely tactical. It is not strategic. They think they can get away. Who fought along with the Mujahideen against the Soviets? They were mercenaries. We have Parvez Musharraf on record saying that they went and fought, and I'd like our viewers to have a quick look at this video. Absolutely. What happened was that this EU Parliament resolution against Pakistan, which says that, this resolution says that Pakistan has helped the Taliban against the National Resistance Front, which is essentially Ahmad Shah Massoud's son, Ahmad Massoud, and this entire Panjshir rally. India was saying it right from the beginning. The Republic Media Network said it. And we were the first media network in this country and perhaps even the world to say that this is happening. And at that time, Pakistan said that what you're doing is propaganda. They told us, they told Republic, you're doing propaganda. They said India is doing propaganda. And then the Iranian president said the same thing. The Iranian foreign minister said the same thing. And then Antony Blinken said the same thing. About how Pakistan harbors them. And now the European Parliament passes a resolution saying that Pakistan has sent its special forces and its air assets, to help the Taliban. Now, this is not just the Republic Media Network saying it. This is the European Union saying it. This is America saying it. This is India saying it. This is Iran saying it. And this is slowly you're going to have the entire so-called Muslim world saying it as well. Everybody is upset with Pakistan because Pakistan's thinking, and let me put it on record and say it for the record, is that Pakistan's thinking is very largely tactical. It is not strategic. They think they can get away with stuff. They think they can get away with stuff. They do not realize that those days are over. This is 2021. You cannot get away with stuff like this. And America today, whatever drone strikes it's launching, it may for a part be using Pakistani airspace. But we have it from sources that in all probability, those drones are taking off from Qatar. There is also this third-party engagement that is happening with Iran. So if you have Iran on your side, I'm just sort of trying to read the tea leaves, do a little bit of crystal gazing. I'm an analyst and this is my job and this is what I do. So if you're going to have Iran saying that, okay, let's bury the hatchet, it's all right. America has done it before with Pakistan. It has turned a blind eye towards Pakistan's atomic. Let us say it tells Iran that you get rid of your nuclear program. Don't worry about your safety and security. We guarantee everything. All right. We also buy oil because Iran is sitting on a vast reservoir of oil. You give us overland routes. You give us the use of the Chabahar port, which India has built, by the way. Pakistan stands absolutely isolated, and today the world has realized. America had realized it long, 20, 30 years back. America had realized this long back. But the world realizes it today that Pakistan needs to be absolutely and totally isolated. This adventurism that, we can go and we can do this. They punch above their weight. And they don't have any, they don't have any money in the bank to back up that punching above the weight scenario that they like to indulge in. Pakistan has no financial assets. It has nothing. It just has some weird story in its mind that we can do this and let's do this. All their plans are half-baked, like Kargil, like 1965, like Siachen. All these plans, military plans of Pakistan, tactically brilliant, strategically flawed. Coming back to the EU resolution, the world is slowly rallying together and they have realized that the cancer is Pakistan. Pakistan is not the cure. For a very long time, there were lobbies within America who were telling the US Congress and they were telling the Pentagon, they were telling the White House that, in Pakistan we have a great ally. But no, that's not true. That's not true. They've figured out that the cancer is Pakistan and this has to be surgically removed. Now, how do you do it? That is another point for discussion. Absolutely. I think the European Parliament asking Ahmad Massoud to come and the European Council is a huge step taken by the European Parliament. We must understand why it's significant. Every Pakistani, they may swear loyalty to China. I'm talking about the cream of Pakistan, not the normal average Pakistani. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the cream, the generals, the bureaucrats, the big businessmen, the officers, people at the senior level in Pakistan who actually run Pakistan. All of them, without exception, have properties outside. They don't have properties in Shanghai. They don't have properties in Macau or in Beijing or in Guangzhou or in Foshan or any one of these industrial cities or the capital of China. No. All their investments are in London, in other parts of Europe, in Canada, in the US. The business dealings are with the West. Their lifestyle is of the West. Their children stay in the West. Their children are educated in the West. All these people, Imran Khan's children, don't stay in Pakistan. They choose not to stay in Pakistan because only a madman would desire to stay in Pakistan. Why would you want to stay in Pakistan? For what? For what? There is no future. Anybody who wants to do well leaves Pakistan. Where are the kids of all these co-commanders? General Bajwa's son, he's in Dubai. The army chief's son, who is like God in Pakistan, his son is in Dubai. None of their kids are in Pakistan. So this is, you understand why this is important. Bhavya, essentially the story is that the European Parliament, much of Pakistan's trade is with Europe. Pakistan exports very little, but a few billions of dollars worth of exports that it does is largely to Europe and to America. It exports almost nothing to China because China is the world's manufacturing hub. Why would China need Pakistan? Right? There is no specialization that Pakistan has. You see, Pakistan has nothing. I mean, most of the Chinese companies, the software is Indian. In many cases, not all. In many cases, it's Indian. But Pakistan has no expertise at all. So why would China even sort of consider getting stuff that is Pakistani? Now, the thing is, and let's be very categorical and clear about this. You see, GSP Plus essentially is a regime of preferences. For easier understanding, let us call it tax rebates. For easier understanding. Though it's slightly more complex than that, but for our viewers. Now, if Pakistan stops getting GSP Plus and the European Union is in a mood to turn the screws on Pakistan, if Pakistan stops getting GSP Plus, their goods that they export to the European Union will become non-competitive. Because Pakistan does not have scale of manufacturing. It's a largely agrarian society. It's a largely rural society. They might like to say that Karachi is the city of lights and Lahore is the city of people with big hearts. All that is poetic nonsense. Fact of the matter is, manufacturing base in Pakistan is scraping the barrel. There is nothing in Pakistan. And whatever little they do produce, if the GSP Plus preferences or the GSP Plus is removed, Pakistan will have an extremely tough time. And they don't understand that the world does not like their military adventurism. The world does not like it. The world does not have patience for this nonsense. And if you want to do this, I'm not being ethical and moral here, Bhavya. I'm not saying that this is wrong and there is nothing wrong and right in foreign relations. Every country commits crimes. Every country does stuff that is in that country's, benefit. Every country would do it. But to do the kind of stuff that Pakistan wants to do or is doing, you need to be very rich. And Pakistan is not rich. Right? This is a rich man's game, honestly speaking. Yes, Pakistan does get money from China to do all this, but China will be the first one to sell Pakistan down the river if there are any repercussions. And Pakistan is going to be used for watchman duties in Afghanistan. Between 1979 and 1989, and it's very important, and I keep on telling this to other viewers, so in the hope that it will stick and you'll understand the background, because there are terms of reference for everything, no, Bhavya? So in this case, what has happened is that long back, the General Zia-ul-Haq, the famous Zia-ul-Haq military dictator, who put Bhutto to death, Zulfikar Bhutto, Benazir's father, to death. He murdered him. He was looking for recognition because being a military dictator and having put a democratically elected prime minister to death, the world was not very happy with Pakistan, not very happy with Ziaul Haq. Ziaul Haq wanted to do something for the world. He wanted to become indispensable. So people start, recognizing his legitimacy. That's very important. So he started helping the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, to arm guerrilla groups, mujahideen groups inside Afghanistan to fight against the Soviets. At that time it was USSR, now it's Russia. So fight against the Soviets. Less than half the money reached the mujahideen because Pakistan wagged all the money in between as usual. Because see, here Pakistan, and this has been central to Pakistan's foreign policy. America is giving the money. So Pakistan is not giving the money. The Afghan mujahideen were fighting the Soviets, which means that Pakistan was not fighting the Soviets. Neither is Pakistan giving the money, nor is Pakistan fighting. Pakistan is a conduit. It's like a middleman. This is a term that Pakistani media often uses. And if you ever watch Pakistani media, you'll see that they use the word facilitate. Very frequently, their strategic affairs experts on television, their senior anchors, they will always use the word facilitate. But actually, it's like, in Hindi, we call it dalali, beech mein you take 5% or 10% or something. That is what Pakistan has been doing. So what happened in case of Ziaul Haq? When the Americans offered him around $250 million they offered Ziaul Haq for this entire Afghanistan thing. The refugees were coming into Pakistan and armed groups were being sent from Pakistan into Afghanistan to fight the Soviets. They offered him $250 million and Ziaul Haq said, this is peanuts. The president of Pakistan was actually negotiating for more money. And today, Imran Khan says that we have been treated like hired guns. In an interview to a top American news channel, Imran Khan says that, we have been, Pakistan, as in Pakistan, have always been treated like hired guns. Sir, that is because you have always sold out to the highest bidder. Nobody can force a country like Pakistan, even today. Nobody can force a country like Pakistan or any other country for that matter to do its bidding. The problem is that Pakistan's elite have always been corrupt. They have always had their interests, never in Pakistan, always in the West. Their hearts beat for the United States of America, for Canada, for New Zealand, for Australia, for Europe. And in Europe, especially London, their hearts don't beat for Pakistan. These people have sold Pakistan down the river, and today Imran Khan has the gumption. He has the gall and the gumption to say that we have been treated like hired guns. For heaven's sake, Imran Khan, you've always been hired guns. But what will Pakistanis be? Hired surgeons? Hired IT experts? Hired Olympians? No. There is an absolute lack of talent for doing anything else, and all the talented Pakistanis go abroad. Nobody wants to stay in Pakistan. Hired gun is the only thing that suits the Pakistani character, and they've been doing it forever and ever. Let me give you an example. In 1979, 78, 79 roundabout, I'm sure I have the years right, there was a group, actually captured the mosque in Mecca. And the Mecca mosque is the holiest shrine in Islam. It is the holiest shrine in Islam. The mosque at Makkah. Even then, Pakistan was a hired gun. Pakistanis commandos went inside and they opened fire inside Mecca because they were getting dollars from the Saudis. They did it along with the French. There were the French special forces, there were Pakistani special forces, and there were the Saudi forces there. In 1979, during the Black September uprising and the killings, at that time, Brigadier Ziaul Haq, later Major General, and then he became Chief of Army Staff and the President, he took over, killed Bhutto, etc. He was responsible, by some accounts, of Palestinian deaths from 10,000 to 25,000 Palestinians killed. Pakistani General Ziaul Haq was responsible for the death of 10,000 to 25,000 Palestinians, and these are the people who say that the heart beats for Palestine. These are the people who abuse Israel. And the Pakistanis should ask their own army, how many Palestinians did you kill? And why did they kill? It's not because of any enmity. King of Jordan gave them money and they killed the Palestinians. So yes, Imran Khan is right. Hired guns is correct. Absolutely correct. They've been doing that in Afghanistan. They've been doing it all. It's a mercenary army essentially. You pay the Pakistani army money. Just imagine the army chief of Pakistan, former General Rahil Sharif, is getting paid a fat salary, and he's on a contract with the Saudis, and he's leading some sort of multinational coalition of Islamic countries. What the Saudis did was they threw enough money at the Pakistani army chief and they hired him. An army chief of any country is an institution in himself. The army chief is a revered figure, right? Can you ever in your wildest dreams imagine something like this happening in India? In India, people don't even talk about it. Here, Pakistan has done it. They sold their own army chief to the highest bidder, which was Saudi Arabia, and they said, okay, sir, have fun, make a lot of money. And he's gone to Saudi Arabia. So hired guns is absolutely correct. From their Jawans, who fought along with the Mujahideen against the Soviets, they were mercenaries. We have Parvez Musharraf on record saying that they went and fought, and I'd like our viewers to have a quick look at this video.
4 kinds of category of people fought that jihad. Number 1, Afghans themselves. Number 2, Mujahideen from all over the world, from the Islamic world. 20 to 30,000 Mujahideen were brought into Afghanistan from all over the Islamic world to fight a jihad against communists, including Osama bin Laden was brought. Then the third, Taliban from our madrasas were trained, equipped, armed and sent in. The 4th category was mercenaries. I am from the Special Service Group. I know some colleagues of mine who went inside with 50, 100 odd people as mercenaries and were fighting the Soviets.
General Parvez Musharraf is saying that people from his own regiment, the Special Services Group or the Special Forces, actually went to Afghanistan. They took money. They were mercenaries, soldiers of fortune. And there is no honor in such soldiering. There is no honor. And I feel very strongly about this, being an ex-army officer, and I'll tell you why. Because the cornerstone, let's talk about the Indian Army for a second. What makes the Indian Army different? It's not the high level of training. It's not the equipment. It's certainly not. It's not the divisions and the corps and the commands that we have. It is not the assets that we have. No. They count for nothing. What makes the Indian Army great is its DNA, its ethos, right? I often say this, that the Indian Army is not just a powerful army, it's also a moral army. It is our morality that makes us strong. It is that sense of morality. There have been so many examples of great kings in India. So many great kings, Chandragupta, right? There was Samudragupta, there was Ashoka. Kings with hundreds of thousands of soldiers. There were the Cholas who went all the way to Southeast Asia and even China and Indonesia and everywhere. They went everywhere. But why is Lord Ram worshipped? Did he have armies in the millions? No. He is worshipped because the Indian culture is based on this concept of morality. He is called Maryada Purushottam. Maryada, Sanskar. That is what gives us strength. It is not the swords and the bows and arrows at that point in time, or the missiles or Prithvi, Nag, Akash. Of course, they're important. They're methods of war fighting. But what makes the Indian Army great is that sense of ethos, the DNA, the culture, the traditions of the army. And unfortunately, hired guns is the right term that has been used for the Pakistani army by the Pakistani Prime Minister. And I think he has totally outed the Pakistani army here. See, when Pakistan became a nuclear weapon state, it did so by thievery. They stole stuff. When you have a culture of thievery, people tend to think that stealing and cheating is all right. All right? So they had this guy called Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan, the father of Pakistan's nuclear program, who is not a nuclear scientist, by the way, he's a metallurgist. But that apart, he was indicted and he was put in house arrest by Musharraf or during the Musharraf era because there was immense pressure. Pakistanis sold nuclear secrets on the black market. Pakistan has always blackmailed the world. You know, that if you want access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, we will provide it. But remember, we are a nuclear power. In a cricket match, he's saying this in the commentary of a cricket match. This obsession with their nuclear weapons, this obsession is something that has been taught to Pakistanis from day one. You're saying, can sanctions be used? Of course, sanctions must be used. You don't need to fight Pakistan at all. You don't need to fight Pakistan at all. Remove GSP Plus, right? Put them in the blacklist of the FATF. I'm telling you, when you do that, 90% of Pakistan's ministers and generals will run away from Pakistan. They all have their homes in Dubai and in London. London is mini Pakistan for all practical purposes. There are Pakistanis everywhere in London because they pretty much don't like their own country, right? Half their ex-army chiefs are settled outside. They're not in Pakistan at all. They don't have that confidence in their own country. Pakistan has blackmailed the world because of its nuclear assets, because of its geostrategic importance, right? It has played America against the Taliban against America, and tried to benefit from both. But clearly, I think now, with everything getting together and the world realizing that they don't actually need, see, over the horizon strikes, drone strikes, air strikes. Now they suddenly realize that they don't need Pakistan for this. They don't need Pakistan. And even if they're flying over Pakistan, let's say the American drone, the Reaper or a Guardian or a Predator is flying over Pakistani airspace, what is Pakistan going to do? Shoot down an American drone. Let them try, good luck.